I don't even know where to start with this film. Nocturnal Animals is directed by Tom Ford and stars Jake Gyllenhaal, Amy Adams, Michael Sheen, Michael Shannon, lots and lots of big people. As most films that I tend to watch have lots and lots of big people in, but this one especially has some of my favourite actors and some of my least favourite ever actors. As a side note before this entire thing starts, Jake Gyllenhaal is my favourite ever actor, and Amy Adams is one of my least favourite ever actors. So it's kind of like a win-lose situation. I love one and can't stand another. But I think it says testament to that no matter how much I really despise Amy Adams as an actress, in this, I absolutely loved her. And hands down, no matter how much I think about this film and how much I want to talk about it, it's so hard for me to talk about it without spoiling it. And I honestly think, again, I've said it before in multiple reviews, you need to go into this knowing as little as possible about the film. So I'm going to try and give the shortest, most brief plot synopsis I possibly can for this. So the basic plot of the film is that Amy Adams has an ex-husband who's played by Jake Gyllenhaal, and Amy Adams is a fashion designer and she's not really happy in life. And Jake Gyllenhaal was a writer and she never really believed in him and that. And then he sends her his new book, and the film is basically her reading the book and the book playing out as if it's another film adaptation of that book. That's hard for me to really picture, but basically you have Amy Adams' story of the present day, you have her reading the book, which is not her narrating it as such, but her reading it in her head and you see what she sees, and then the past of Amy Adams and Jake Gyllenhaal's relationship, which I think is a really good narrative setup of those three storylines. You see, I have watched some films this year which I have forgotten I've watched. There have been films, like I forgot the Angry Birds movie came out. There's been plenty of films where I've just forgotten they existed, and this is one of those films that has scenes which I don't think I will ever forget. There is so many memorable moments, and even 24 hours later in this film I've forgotten things, but nearly every scene is sticking with me. There's so many memorable things in this, and it's not just like a 1 minute sequence, or like in The Neon Demon there's a couple of lines that are always going to stick in my head. This has got scenes which last for 10 or 15 minutes, which I can nearly recall, and I would especially give that credit to, there is a scene very early on, again I'm trying not to spoil anything, so I'm trying to keep things either very early on, but there is a car hijacking scene right at the beginning of the film. And it's a long scene, so I won't go into details about it, but it is so visceral, realistic, and just horrifying. It reminds me of Deepwater Horizon and how I just couldn't watch some of the things, even though it wasn't necessarily gore-filled horror. It just felt so realistic and so just horrific that it became hard to watch. And I think that's just testament to what Tom Ford can do in this. And I mean, it wasn't anything overtly disgusting. It wasn't like gore or anything like that. It was just the way it was acted, the way it was written, and everything about it felt so real. And it wasn't even supposed to be real, but it was amazing. Everything about it was just absolutely superbly done. And again, credits here to Tom Ford, who's just managed to create something so memorable and genius. And by its end message, when I came out of the film, I didn't understand it. And then it took me a little while, and I read a couple of things about it. And then when I thought about it, I was like, oh my God, that's genius. And it makes you think, and that to me is the best type of film you could ever go and see at the cinema. That's why I love Fight Club so much. The more you watch it, the more you think about it, the more you notice things. And the more I think about this, the more I realise what Tom Ford was trying to do and what the writer was trying to do with his book. Every actor in this film is superb. As I said, I don't like Amy Adams at all. In fact, I really despise her in most films. But this, she played her role fantastically. Jake Gyllenhaal, again, I mean, he's my favourite actor, so I'm really biased by this, but he was just amazing. And Michael Shannon. Michael Shannon plays the detective in this story. Michael Shannon. I've only just been introduced to Michael Shannon this year through Midnight Special and a couple of other films, but Michael Shannon really stands out in this role, and probably, and I mean, really needs to be considered for an Oscar for this, because it was haunting, realistic, and he just kind of outdid the majority of the cast besides Gyllenhaal. Tom Ford is quite clearly a fashion designer. You can tell it's directed by a fashion designer, and that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing at all. That means he's got brilliant style choices, and that means everything from the set design to the costumes to everything is going to be stylistically beautiful. And I do love a good arty film, and this is very arty as such. But it's also not sacrificing art for an amazing story. In fact, if this film didn't look as good as it, it'd still have that amazing story that it does. And everything was placed right. Every shot seemed like everything was placed in the right places, and that's just kind of satisfying. There were shots between Jake Gyllenhaal and Amy Adams where she was on one side of the bed and then cut to his house and he's on the other side of the bed like that. And it just felt right. Everything he did felt amazing and felt like he was really, really trying hard. And it didn't feel like a cop-out. This felt like a piece of art that will grip you beyond belief. I was like on the edge of my seat for the majority of this. In the end, Nocturnal Animals left me with something which very few films have managed to do this year. And I've seen 104 films this year, and it is by far the best film I've seen. I mean, I didn't think anything could top the Neon Demon and what the Neon Demon did this year. But somehow it took everything the Neon Demon did and just improved on it that much more. And props to Tom Ford for that. Nocturnal Animals is my favourite film of the year so far. And I mean, if I thought The Neon Demon was a 5-star film, this would be a 6-star film, but 6 stars don't exist, so it's a 5-star film. And there we have it. That was my review of Nocturnal Animals by Tom Ford. And if you did enjoy that, if you really did enjoy that, please check out my review of The Accountant, Doctor Strange, Jack Reacher, Ouija. There's lots of reviews on there, that's what I'm saying. And also coming up this weekend is another Amy Adams film. Boy, am I lucky. Although, to be fair, I can't really say that considering how much I just praised her in that review. And that's going to be Arrival, and then, of course, I have my review of American Pastoral. Also coming up this weekend as well. I mean, I said there was going to be a Halloween one and there wasn't, but I do actually have a really special video coming soon. I'm not sure when it's coming soon, I've got to work out some logistics for it. But I've wrote a big script for it, and it's very different to a review. So I'd hope you do watch that and like that and enjoy that. And I hope you like everything on this channel. And if you do, subscribe, like, do all the things, because right here on My Week in Media is where you can check out all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Dawson and this is My Week in Media. Help you with it. It is actually Yelin Halo.